it's not always easy to live with one of them between the noise, the neediness, and they can be rather destructive as well. So that's Bobby Houdini! Now this is Kona. Kona is a yellow-naped Amazon. This is also a South American bird. And the Amazons are known for their very social nature and their talking ability. Kona is very, very talented. You can also go to our website, which is sbbird.org, and that information will be on your bookmark that we're going to give you. We have a video page, and Kona's in many of the videos. Watch Meet the Flockers. And she stars in Parrot Idol, where she sings. Now, she loves blonde women. Would you like to come up and have a, not Nancy, the lady behind you. Come on up and let's see if we can have a sing-a-thon. Come up to her and say, hi, Kona. Hi. Don't touch her. Tell her she's a pretty, pretty, pretty bird. Oh, gorgeous. Oh, look at that. She's so nice. Okay, she sings this song. Now, when you sing her song after you're done, you have to be quiet or she'll just listen to you. Okay. But her song goes something like this. I love you truly, truly, dear. That was Squeeze Those Little Birdie Legs. I'm not blonde. This is why we need the volunteer. So you sing her that song and let's see how she does. I love you truly. I love you truly. She wants you to finish it. Truly, dear. The louder you are, the better she likes it. I love you truly, truly, dear. Squeeze those little birdie legs. I am so not blonde. She has her own version of that song. It ends with truly dear. Sometimes truly is confused with Trudy. Trudy dear. Trudy dear. Squeeze those little birdie legs. She also does the countdown. Now, I do know how to count, but I have to warn you, she does not like the number 2. So, when we do the countdown, it has to go something like this. 5, 4, 3, 1. 5, 4, 3, 1. Now, she can sing I Love You Truly, Dear. She can say the number 2. It's just her own personal thing. I love you, Rudy, Rudy. I love Rudy. Your eyes are dilating.
Great. Good job. Thank you. You did great. Good job.
Okay, bye-bye, Kona. Everybody say thank you, Kona. Good job.
What makes your birds not want to fly away? I mean, they all just...
Okay, now would be the time to entertain questions, and we've got the first one. She asked me why the birds don't fly away. We keep their wings trimmed for their own safety. If they were to fly off, they would be lost. They wouldn't know how to come back. It takes them about 3-4 days to starve to death, and they're really sitting ducks out there for birds of prey. More questions? Yes, in the back.
Who are there, the extra
Well, it depends upon where the bird comes from, and the predators in that environment. Certainly many of them, there are predators like the harpy eagle is a big one, snakes, that sort of thing, and even monkeys will prey on them. Another question? Yes.
No, why didn't the one that just sang "I Love You Truly"? You didn't hold him. Why is
That's a really good question. One of the characteristics, she's asking why didn't I hold that one, and you might have noticed that we handle her on a stick. The reason Kona lives with us here is that she gave her last owner a third nose hole.
Oh.
They can get very, very aggressive. Now, typically this happens when they reach sexual maturity and the hormones start flowing. And I'm sure you've all heard stories about that cute little baby chimp that gets dressed up in people clothes, and it's just adorable until it gets mature. And then the instinct of the wild, the call of the wild, one minute it's a cute animal and the next it's trying to rip your face off. And, you know, they're really victims of captivity. They don't belong here. But yet here they are. So what do? We care for them as best we can. So she's very, very aggressive. She would like to hurt me in the worst way. Yes. And she'll get on a blonde woman because she likes blondes. But as soon as somebody else gets too close, then she can inflict a wound upon that person. You were very brave. I always tell that story afterwards.
I was going to say, you told me that.
You had a question in the glasses?
Yes, so I was wondering, some of them are obviously very affectionate. How do you know which ones are safe to be
30 years of experience and the ability to read their behavior.
A lot of Band-Aids.
Yeah, Richard will attest to that. Actually, I rarely get bitten by the birds because I do know how to predict their behavior and change it before it occurs. Yes?
And you said that the normal person keeps them for 2 years. Well, when you go to a pet shop, they don't, I mean, I can't believe
You know,
they sell some of them. I think
Yes,
that's
absolutely right. As a matter of fact, one of the people that was here actually went to the extent to go and watch the documentary that was recently done, Parrot Confidential. It's an epidemic in captivity. Places like Petco that have uneducated staff that sell these birds to naive people that have not done their research is what helps perpetuate this problem. And it's really tragic. If you do go to the PBS.org website to watch the major national documentary they did for the Nature series, you will notice many volatile comments underneath the movie. And it's kind of a war between the rescues and the breeders because there's money to be made in breeding these birds. But the rescues are the ones seeing the backlash. Ever since the documentary aired, we've been inundated what we had hoped with donations, but in fact relinquishment requests. People end up finding out the hard way that it was a lot more than they had bargained for. And it's very, very sad.
A great documentary, by the way.
Oh,
I
I'm
recommend
glad you watched it. Who else here has watched the
Absolutely.
documentary?
It was great.
Yeah. It really
You
was
did a
an
good job, too.
eye-awakening for the public to bring the plight of captive parrots into the public eye because many people don't realize. And when you think about it, there are hundreds of thousands of rescues for cats and dogs across the nation. And they live 15, 20 years. There's a handful of parrot rescues. And all of us are at capacity and turning people away. It's an epidemic. You know, you do the math. Bird gets kept for 2 to 4 years in a home and it lives 80 years. How many homes is that bird going to have in their life? So it's really a catch-22 out there. Yes?
There was another documentary about wild parrots in San Francisco.
Yes, the parrots of Telegraph Hill.
Yes, what's the status on do you know, have you heard any updates about those groups?
Those birds, the gentleman that had befriended them that was in the movie is no longer in that area, unfortunately.
Okay.
They are still in San Francisco, but they don't really habit the places that he went to. And believe it or not, we have our own small flock of parrots in Santa Barbara here. Originally, they were lilac-crowned Amazons, somewhat similar to Kona, who's a yellow-naped, and their numbers have fluctuated over the years. Back in the 80s, they actually used to land on my deck where I kept my parrots during the day, and I'd feed them out there. And I actually, one year, they started waking me up at the crack of dawn to feed them. And I'd go out and feed them, and they'd be back a couple hours later screaming for more. And then all of a sudden one day they showed up with their offspring. So they were actually breeding out here in this area. Their numbers have declined over the years, and other loose birds have joined up with them, and they've sort of hybridized, so they're not pure anymore. But it is possible for them to survive out there if there's safety in numbers. But the average coddled, spoiled pet that gets a bowl of food put in front of their face, if they escape, their odds of surviving are very, very slim.
So you made a lot of mention to how these parrots are now hybrids. Do you think they were easier to take care of before when they were more pure?
Absolutely not.
No, okay.
Their needs are the same.
Okay, because a lot of times I think the purebreds are easier in some ways, but you don't think so with the parrots.
The only difference I see, like for instance, and you may have noticed this when Chico was up, a lot of times when you hybridize animals, their behavior can be more volatile, such as a wolf dog.
Right.
They can be a little more aggressive, and you don't know, one minute it's a dog and the next it's a wolf. Well, you may have noticed that Chico was being a little more aggressive, which is typical of hybrids.
Okay. Okay.
But as far as their care and amount of interaction that they need, there's really no difference.
I just see a big difference in all kinds of animals, not just birds, but all kinds
Well, they're
of animals.
confused. They're genetically all mixed up, and so they can't follow what their instinct tells them, because
I'm agreeing with you. I'm just wondering if you've seen a change in the parrots over the years. But
well, they hybridize certain species for their beauty, so to say. For instance, the harlequin is very, very colorful.
Yeah.
There's also another hybrid called the Catalina that instead of being mixed with a green wing like Rosie, it's mixed with a scarlet, which is a much more aggressive bird. And then they are even more aggressive than the scarlets are.
yeah.
You're messing with genetics when you do stuff like that.
They're ruining some of these.
Yes, they are, absolutely.
So
Mother Nature's already done amazing things. Why mess with Mother Nature? You have a question?
Yeah, can you tell us how you started this?
How I started this? Well, those of you that watch the documentary will realize that I used to breed birds also. And then in '95 I started Menagerie, and that's where I sold my baby birds. And because I'm a little more in the public eye with having a pet store, it became apparent to me after so many years that there was more of a need to be rehoming unwanted birds